football. We are the Shore Sports Network, and this is the Varsity Link Coach's Corner. Bob Adder's here with Ed Sarluca, Steve Meyer on the camera, Tom Tremblay keeping us on the air. And again, here we go. Week 4 is upon us. Hard to believe the high school football season is already in week 4. Halfway through the Shore Conference regular season. We'll touch on that. Talk about some of the division races. And we'll certainly hit on some of the teams off to fast starts. One of those is in the house with us tonight. The Golden Eagles of Central Regional, 3-0. So we'll be joined by head coach Jared Pigeon, senior Anthony Musso a little bit later on. Plenty to talk about as always. And with that, welcoming the coach. Ed, how are we doing this week?
Well, at first I would like to compliment the Central Golden Eagles for packing this place today. Tremendous job.
Yeah, good crowd, certainly.
You know, we've been here quite a bit in the last few years, and this is about as big a crowd as we've ever had. One team, filling the thing, listening, to Anthony Musso and Jared Pigeon.
Yeah, Central, one of the a little more than a handful of undefeated teams still remaining in the Shore, off to their best start in over 20 years, 3-0 for the first time since 1999. So excited to talk some Golden Eagles football, see how they've done it so far, and talk about a big game coming up this Friday night. But before that, we'll get to some of the results of last week, some big ones. We'll start with a milestone victory for one of the best coaches, I'll say, in Shore Conference history, and his career is still going, and that is Steve Antonucci of Middletown South. I was at the Swamp on Friday, a 27-0 victory over Jackson Moore for the Eagles. Really a classic Middletown South game. Career win number 200 for Nooch in just his 24th season, 3 games into it. So you average that out, 8.5 wins a season. He's won 6 sectional titles, 11 division titles. They've been a standard public school in the state for quite some time. And, great coach, great guy, and obviously very deserving of that.
Yeah, I talked to Steve Friday night, late Friday night. He didn't get to my text until about 2:30 in the morning, so you know where he was. But, yeah, back-to-back weeks now, Bobby. Lou Versillo the week before with his 300th, and Steve Antonucci with his 200th. 2 great coaches, both in the Hall of Fame, the Shore Coaches Hall of Fame, and tremendous coach. His numbers, your article on Steve Antonucci, if you didn't read it, if you get a chance, read the Shore Sports Network and Bob's article on Steve Antonucci. Tremendous article. It lists all the accomplishments that he's done, fills out the entire page.
Yeah, 200 wins, but you break it down, he's 259, which is about a 77% winning percentage, in those 24 years. They at one point, they won 4 straight state titles, had a Shore Conference record 43-game winning streak. You go back to those days, for us that were covering it.
No Sean Marino days.
No Sean Marino, Nick Macaluso, and that whole crew. I mean, that was a special group, a special era of Shore Conference football. And obviously he was, the head coach for that. And they've since won another one. They were 12-0 and undefeated in 2015. And, so far, 3-0. They're one of those undefeated teams, 3-0, playing great defense. And, also got to give a shout-out to Al Bigos, his defensive coordinator. He's been there the entire way with them. And I got some good numbers from the coaching staff afterwards. In those 200 wins, I believe it's 178 of them, they've allowed 14 points or less, 58 shutouts. So you talk about consistency and winning a certain type of way. They've done that over the years.
I will mention this. I think Steve, in his old age now, getting a little slow because they got him with the Gatorade bath after the game, got him real good.
They did. They got him pretty good with the water. But the best part about that was, if you see the video online, they get Steve, and everyone's focused on Steve. And I think Al was like taping it, and then they get Al from behind with it too.
He was.
So, great moment at the Swamp, and Middletown South will turn around and play another important Colonial Division game. They'll be at Manalapan on Friday night, looking to move to 4-0.
Yeah. Another big one Friday night that we were at with our Facebook Live coverage was Donovan Catholic hosting Toms River North. One-sided effort there. Donovan Catholic recovering from their 14-0 loss to Rumson, our number 1 team in the Shore. Able to get outside with their speedster, Kyrie Drake. Big night. He was our player of the game. Got a trophy and a butcher block hat, which he proudly wore in our interview. And, they were able to get outside anytime they wanted, which is something they could not do against Rumson. This week, the Lions of Lacey come in 2-0. They're going to have that chance against Rumson.
Yeah, Lacey will travel up to Borden Stadium Friday night against our top-ranked team in the Shore Sports Network Jeep Store Top 10, and that is Rumson Fairhaven, the Bulldogs. Perfect so far, 2-0, having a lot of point, and have done so in victories over Wall and Donovan Catholic, as you mentioned. The big win in terms of ranked wins and upsets came on Saturday. That was Long Branch going into Freehold and taking down the previously 8th-ranked Colonials 29-14. Last year, Ed, for longtime head coach Danny George, he announced in June that he was going to step down after this season, already resigned as the wrestling coach. Like I said, his farewell tour has gotten off to a pretty good start. 2-0 wins over St. John Vianney, and now Freehold. Senior quarterback Christian Rodriguez really getting it done so far.
It might be in the cards, for Danny George and the Green Wave. I mean, you announce your retirement early, which I like, by the way, rather than pulling it off in January and February, where you retire. I like announcing it right up front. The players know where everybody stands, and I think they're playing for Coach George.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
He's a beloved figure
Yes,
in that program, in that school, in that entire town. His whole family is. The George family, when you hear their name, you think of Long Branch, you think of Long Branch Athletics. So Long Branch, I think, was one of those teams we didn't know a ton about. We knew they had really graduated some outstanding players over the last 2 or 3 seasons since those back-to-back state sectional championships. And they come in now with the senior quarterback who's playing really well. They have some good pieces around him. Jaden Farmer, wide receiver, had a nice touchdown. Jyshawn Presley on the defensive side has been playing well. So 2-0. They welcome Jackson Memorial to Brissett Stadium on Friday night, and the Green Wave will try to keep it going. Right now, they're the leaders in that Freedom Division after that win over Colts Neck.
Yeah, I see. By the way, I see a lot of nacho platters going around here, around the tables here. I got to tell Anthony, make sure he doesn't get anything on his nice Central Regional shirt. It's got to be on TV pretty soon.
Looking good over there.
Yeah. Other big ones, Bob. What's another big one from last week?
Well, we'll go through the ranked teams. Number 2, Red Bank Catholic took care of business against Raritan 49-7. That was tied, albeit early. RBC went down and scored. Raritan answered, and then it was all Casey's from there. No surprise on that front. We mentioned Donovan. Wall had a bye. Colts Neck returned from an idle week, 33-0 victory over Madawan. And how about Tommy Fallon, their senior quarterback? We know he can run the ball, but 218 yards, 3 touchdowns on just 6 carries. That's pretty impressive. He's a big quarterback there. Usually it's some between the tackles runs, getting first downs. But he broke off some big ones there, Ed. So Colts Neck moves to 2-0 on the year. We mentioned Middletown South, which moves up to 6 after the win. Southern Regional had a bye. Rams back in action against Holmdel on Friday night. Manasquan moved up to number 8. The Warriors 38-7 over Ocean. So that offense, which we knew had some potential early in the season. They had the loss to Middletown South, which right now doesn't look like a bad loss at all, especially considering Manasquan has responded with I believe a 45-point game against Red Bank and then a 38-point game against Ocean. Long Branch moved up to number 9, and then Raritan dropped out a couple spots to 10.
I know you mentioned last week, Bob, about after the games played last week, most teams, I would say maybe half the teams have played 3 games already, and we're halfway to the pods.
Yeah, it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we aren't halfway through the regular season.
No.
It's a little bit deceiving because of those 2 pod games that every team is afforded. So it's an 8-week regular season, even though those 2 games are they're not official postseason games. They're not regular season games, really. But if you're just talking about the 6 regular season games, really the division schedule for every team that doesn't play on Thanksgiving, we're halfway there. Central, who's here tonight, they've played 3 games. So 3 more left until they start looking at those pod opponents and then the playoffs. So,
yeah, I'm anxious to get Coach Pigeon's views on those pods because in talking to quite a few, I've talked to just about all the head coaches in the Shore from when they decided on those pods this summer, and
most of them do not like the pods. They don't like them because they think that they're top-heavy. Now, let's take, for instance, a Central Regional. Let's say they go undefeated. Do you put Central in the pod with the RBCs and the Rumsons and the Donovan Catholics? I think you have to at 6-0. You have to.
It's a tough call because of the way the divisions are structured.
But if they go 5-1, then that might make it easier for the so-called what am I looking for? The people that pick them, the committee. Yeah, the committee, to keep a team like Central out of it at 5-1. There's going to be quite a few of those teams that are 5-1 in the other divisions.
There is. And I'm glad you brought this up. We will talk about this, every week up until that point. We're hoping to have Will Sunderman on this week. Will's going to try to join us over the next couple weeks. He's the athletic director of Pinelands, the president of the Shore Conference. Really talk the structure of the Shore Conference pods, if it will become an official Shore Conference tournament either next year or years down the road. And it's hard. For anyone who follows college football, it's the same issue. It's top-heavy. There's not the time in the season to have an 8 or a 12-team high school playoff in the conference, certainly. So I'm sure there's specific reasons why it's done a certain way, and we can get to that down the line.
Yeah, and of course, I know what these coaches are going to say. We're taking it one at a time.
Which you have
to do. But, it's our job in the media to look ahead and, start ranking some of these teams and start looking at what could possibly be the 4-team top pod. And by the way, you said it, they are not calling it a championship group in that top 4. Mm-hmm. They are not doing that.
They're not. We can.
Oh, we can. We will.
we
will. But
we absolutely will.
They will not call it that. And by the way, it's the top 4, then the next 4, then the next 4, and so on down the list.
A few more teams from Week 3 I want to touch on. In the past on this show, Ed, unfortunately, we've had a little bit of a jinx. Teams come on the next week, they're wishing they didn't come on again. This week so far, not a problem.
Barnegat. Week
still undefeated.
2, and then Point Borough last
still
week.
Undefeated. Going and
says a lot for Central Regional.
The Panthers, coming off a 42-14 win over Asbury Park, an impressive win. We talked to head coach Brian Staub and their quarterback Charlie Vitale last week. They expressed what their concerns were against Asbury Park, and they played a very good game, coming out with a 28-point victory. Point Borough averaging 39 points a game, spreading the ball around, doing everything you want that flex bone offense to do, Ed.
Yeah, you're right. They've got quite a few weapons on that Panther team, and Coach Staub has got it all working right now. And if they stop him in one particular facet of his offense, they could go to another and be just as successful. I don't think Charlie Vitale has thrown it yet. We try to get him some air
He's thrown
time.
He threw a touchdown pass.
He did throw a touchdown pass.
To Connor Salento.
I saw that.
He heard your challenge, and he stepped up, Ed. What more can you ask from the kid?
Right. Must have been a 3rd and 22 or something like that.
I'm sure that your needling is why they called that play, I'm sure. The aforementioned Bengals of Barnegat, 26-0 victory over Jackson Liberty. Bengals are 3-0 under first-year head coach Paul Covine. So we joke, Rob Davis, who's that? I'm just kidding, Rob. I know you're watching. I'm sure you're very happy your protege off to a great start.
Our block game day on Facebook.
Butcher's Block game day countdown will be at
Friday night. Will take us to Shore Regional for the Barnegat and Shore matchup, which is an excellent matchup. By the way, Shore, after an opening season loss to the aforementioned Point Pleasant Borough, has won 2 straight in good fashion, and look forward to playing that 3-0 Barnegat team.
Yeah, that's a really good Patriot Division matchup because you mentioned Barnegat undefeated. Shore really on the back of their senior quarterback and linebacker, Jamie Mazzocco, who's been a one-man wrecking crew, over 200 yards the past couple games. A dramatic victory 2 weeks ago, and then 21-8 over Manchester. So it should be a good one at Feeney Field on Friday night. Hopefully the weather holds up for us there. And the last team I want to mention, your old stomping grounds, the Port, the Red Raiders, 3-0 for the first time since 2009, and flying high, 45-26 over Point Beach. Their outstanding senior, DJ Thompson, continues to get it done. Just when you think you held him down in the passing game, he still catches a great touchdown pass, returns a punt for a touchdown, turns a kick for a touchdown, intercepts a pass on defense, and then their sophomore running back, Nazir Treadwell, really gets it going over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Port's rolling right now. That was your pick to win that national division.
Yeah.
And that's looking like an excellent pick right now.
It is. And let's also mention a team that has been down for quite a few years, Marlboro, off to a 2-0 start,
Yes,
Bob.
you're right. I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't want to forget the Mustangs. Marlboro 32-13 over Neptune to move to 2-0. First time they're 2-0 since 1999. Got some stats from them. Zach Mendez, another good game on the ground, over 100 yards, couple touchdowns. Again, 2-0 for the first time since 99. They play winless Freehold Township this week. While that's a district rivalry game, it's a very winnable game for Marlboro. If they go to 3-0, it would be the first time since 1995 they were 3-0. And they've never been 4-0, according to athletic director Dave Ryden. So a really good start for the Mustangs. I mentioned they've had some tough years, but they're off to a good one, and they have the capability to compete for a division title, which really that's what you want. You want a chance, and they've certainly proven they have that so far.
Yep, they sure have.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick timeout, and then we will welcome our guests from Central Regional. So we'll be back after this, and when you see us next, we'll be talking to Jared Pigeon and Anthony Musso. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner here on the Shore Sports Network. All right. Back here at the Office Restaurant and Lounge in Tom's River with the Varsity Link Coaches Corner, talking Central Regional Golden Eagles football. And right now we're delighted to be joined by Central's second-year head coach, Jared Pigeon, and their outstanding two-way senior, Anthony Musso. Guys, first of all, thanks a lot for coming down, and thanks for bringing a crew. You got a packed house to see the old maroon and gold.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate that.
So, Jared, your second season as a head coach, a little bit of background on you. Certainly you've been around the Shore Conference for a long time. We're a standout player at Central. Your father, Dennis, has been coaching around the Shore for a very long time. And I know you're excited to get the head coaching job and, come back to the Shore. But last year was not the best year to be a first-year head coach with COVID and all the protocols. So I just want to ask you about that first. How challenging was that coming in 2020, trying to get everything going, establish the program the way you want it in your vision, but having just so many roadblocks in front of you?
Yeah, I don't think it was really that easy of a task, but no one was really going to complain about it. Everybody was going through, some sort of issue, whether it be school or mental health related. I thought we did our part. We got the kids out on the field. We did what we could with the allotted time that we had. The 2 to 3 weeks to prepare for a game, but most importantly, we got through about 90% of the season, and the kids had, they got a senior year, and that's what's most important in our program. We're always talking about the seniors and doing the right thing and playing for those guys. So, that class last year got to finish out their senior year, and we got on the field, so that's most important.
You did get to play 7 games, 3
Right.
and 4. How important were those 7 games to this year's returning kids?
It's any type of experience. The guy standing or sitting over all the way to the left, he's been a 3-year starter for us. Chase Gumbrick, who I'm sure you guys are going to bring up in a little bit, he got a lot of carries as a sophomore. Our offensive line had some good experience last year, and most importantly, our defense. A lot of those guys are back. We were in some tight games last year. We had a little bit of a sour taste the way we left some games on the field. We keep that within our program and within our 4 walls, but we didn't like that record and what we left, the product that we left on the field. And the kids took that in the off season. Our Board of Ed and our administration did a great job allowing us to get in the weight room in January. That's a big part of our program. We've been there, all year, and that's something that is huge in the development of our team.
So here you are, started 2021 season. Everyone wants to get off a good start. You can't do any better than you guys have done so far. I mean, I don't care who you're playing. when you outscore your opponents 140-0 through 3 games, you're doing a lot of things right. And I know from talking yesterday, you kind of put, hey, there's still a lot to work on, and certainly early in the season, always looking to get better. But just how about that? And Anthony, I'll ask you that. Coming out, starting the season, 34-0, 35-0, 35-0, hitting on all cylinders. I mean, that's exactly what you guys build up towards in training camp, and here you are putting it together on the field.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We got a lot of talent all around, offensively and defensively. Got a lot of young studs on the offense.
You can see that. I mean,
Yeah.
3 shutouts in a row. Teams don't get 3 shutouts in a year. I think you end a year with 3 shutouts. You can say, hey, you had a pretty good defensive year.
Definitely.
Shut out 3 straight teams. I just want to ask you about that side of the ball. What has it been about the defensive side where, and even in blowouts, sometimes it can happen. You're up big. The other team scores a late touchdown. That doesn't happen. I mean, just tell me about the defense and how you guys have done that. 3 straight goose eggs.
I think it's just the confidence going into the game. Everyone.
Just doing their part, huh?
Yeah, everyone just doing their part. Defensive backs always locking down. Inside backers always filling their gaps. Defensive line always mauling the line. Just everyone doing their job. Everyone getting doing what they need to do and executing it.
And has there been that pride late in games too? Like, hey, we got the shutout going. Like, don't mess this up.
Oh yeah. I think just getting everyone opportunities to do what they can. Definitely just care about the reps everyone else gets than keeping the shutout, at the late in the game,
Certainly.
Mention, Jared, your staff a little bit because they've obviously have been a big part of this start.
Oh, absolutely. You can't say enough about the offensive side of the ball. I know you guys want to touch on the defensive side, but offensively, Frank Papalia calls he's at the helm of the offensive coordinator. Danny Higgins does our quarterbacks. Paul Carazola has been a huge addition for us, especially the strength and conditioning component of it as the wideouts and tight ends. Frank Backel helps out with the offensive line, but you can't say enough about those guys and the preparation that these guys put in, day in and day out, getting these guys prepared for each week. We're trying to put in new wrinkles and keep it explosive, and we're scoring. I think that's been a lull here. We've always, played some good defense. We've been in some tight games, but we're really opening the door. Frank's done a great job, and we can't be happy enough with the guys that we have.
Now, Frank stopped up here before we went on the air and said that he really has created this offense, and
Right.
he has discovered Chase Gumbrick.
Yeah.
It's about time we talk about this kid.
Frank,
Right.
can you Frank over there shaking his head like, come on, Ed?
Nah, he knows I'm only kidding. But anyway, let me just mention some numbers for Chase, okay? First game, 341 yards.
241. He'd love to have 341. First game, he did have
And 3
241.
touchdowns. Second game, 146. Last week, 304 yards with 5 overall touchdowns, 4 on the ground, 1 in the air. Where did this kid come from? I know he ran the ball a little bit, but you have to be surprised by what he's done so far.
Absolutely. I think, like you mentioned, Frank and the rest of the offensive staff have been putting these guys in some great situations. You can't mention Chase Gumbrick without mentioning the offensive line. Those guys are they take pride, in the weight room and on the field. Todd Dudley, Dasty, Sean Williams, Aaron Joseph, Nick Rua, Benta Vegna. All these guys are putting in. It's all hands on deck, and they take pride in, letting Musso run around and Chase Gumbrick. And they're opening those holes, and we take some really big pride in our wide receivers and blocking on the edge. Shane Sajewicz, Danny Morris. Once those guys get out there, Mike Rapola at tight end. So those things are kind of all come into fruition. They play the way Coach preaches in the offensive room, and we're just carrying on, what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball. And Chase is obviously a big part of our running attack. But, they're just trying to string some days together. Like I said to Bob the other day, we're just trying to get some things rolling, and we have a lot to work on still.
Jared, I got to ask you, and it's a little bit cliche, but as a defensive coach, you were a standout linebacker both at high school and college. You were defensive coordinator before you got the head coaching job. It just seems like that's always the philosophy. That's always how you want your team to be. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play tough defense. That seems like exactly what you guys are. I mean, is that the mold? We're going to control the clock and do those things, but be a run-first team?
Of course. I mean, throughout the offseason meeting with Frank, we discussed, what our strengths were. I think we do a great job adapting to personnel and adapting to the teams that we're playing. We're going to take what they give us. As a defensive guy, I want to get off the field on third downs. I think that's what Anthony was trying to think of before. We have a big emphasis in that during practice is third downs. We want to run the ball, control the clock, get off the field when we need to, and cover kicks. Special teams, Coach Hardy does a great job for us, getting us prepared each week, and making sure that we're prepared in every asset of the game. And that's stuff that we practice. We're a big situational practice team throughout the week, so the kids are not seeing something for the first time on Friday nights. And that's something in the preparation standpoint that we take pride in as a staff, and we're hoping that, it runs downhill to our kids.
Anthony, I know you played your first 2 games at home. Tell us a little bit about what the school has been like this year. Back in school after not probably being in school at all, the kids behind this team?
Kids are great, honestly. We have a great pit at the games always.
What do they call your pit?
Just call it the
You got a
pit.
name? Okay.
The pit.
Okay. Everybody's got a title, you know?
Yeah. It's great walking into school, being 3-0. Kids, last year, having the losing record, you would just expect us to lose every week. Kids would talk to us knowing we would lose, thinking we were going to lose. And this year, everyone expecting us to win. It's just a great feeling to know it, knowing that everyone thinks and knows we're going to win.
It's a tough crowd. You're only 3-4 last year. But you could go, piggybacking on what Ed said, when you now have home games and there's fans in the stands and there's people cheering you on, and you're running out to the field, like you said, with your fellow classmates cheering you on. For that first home game this year, what was that like, just in comparison to not having that a year ago?
It was just a great feeling for the home opener to have a lot of fans there, actually, cheering us on.
How much does it change obviously it changes the atmosphere, but like talking to some of the teams you've had in the last couple weeks, you have a different feel playing in a game. I know you don't hear the whole crowd when you're playing because you're zeroed in, but it just seems like it just gives it a totally different feel.
It definitely gives it a more definitely hypes you up more. Mm-hmm. Definitely wanting to win and definitely play a lot better.
Jared, football, and we've said this so many times on this show, football kind of it sets the tone almost for the whole school for the year. If you have a good football season, it's just like the school rallies around that, and it really, for lack of a better term, it can set the tone. Just how exciting has that been? You get off to a good start, like we said. People are back at games. The community can be more involved than they have been over the last year, and obviously when you're winning, everything's going well.
Right, of course. But, as you mentioned before, it was tough to put our stamp on things last year with COVID. So coming back with a full year of our program in there, we instill in our kids that it's more than X's and O's. We want you to be gentlemen in the community and the school, taking care of business in the classroom and doing the right thing all the time. We have a great culture in our school. We have some great administration, great teachers. The pit, he doesn't want to mention it, but half of them are over there. They don't need to be here, but they are here because they believe in our kids, they believe in our staff, and they believe in the program and where we're going. It is an exciting time to be at Central. We want the community to be involved. We actually had our first youth camp, trying to get the youth involved and get them excited about the program. I think we're doing just that with the uniforms, having the community come out, and there have been some big crowds. I've been at Central since 2014, and we've had some good teams come in and out of here. But the community's really rallied behind us. Some of our administrations here tonight just shows you the pride that we have, to be a part of Central, and I couldn't be more excited to be a second-year head coach and the future of this program.
And hold that thought real quick. Just want to get in a little message about Varsity Link, our sponsor for tonight's program and our program every week going forward. It's the Athlete Social Media Network, the first social media platform designed as a recruitment tool to help enhance an athlete's opportunity and the coach's recruitment process, and also allows friends, family, and the football community a chance to be a part of the action as athletes and coaches post and interact. So to join the community, visit www.varsitylink.com, or you can download the app on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. So it's Varsity Link. Check them out, doing some great things over there. So Ed, back to your thought.
My thought is, Jarrett, Saturday morning, the coaches probably forgot about those W's, those first 3, right? And your focus becomes the Rockets of Raritan. little bit different animal this week. Tell us a little bit about Raritan.
No, we Coach Bertuzzi does a great job. That's a program in Monmouth County that we would emulate ourselves a little bit. They're physical, they're well coached, they're going to be in the right spots at the right time. We know what we're getting into. Coach has done a great job there for the past decade. Someone I've followed since as a younger coach, and I know Coach Papalia has a good relationship with him and always speaks very highly of him and his program. That's a great program, and we're just looking forward to the opportunity to play the number 10 team in the Shore. Absolutely. This is why you come to Central Regional. You want to play games like this in front of big crowds, and we're just hoping for a physical game. I couldn't be more excited, as I'm sure the rest of the staff and the kids are.
And certainly a step up in competition. As you mentioned, the number 10 team in the Shore. They're coming off a loss, but it's to number 2 Red Bank Catholic.
Right.
And the teams you've played so far, have struggled early on, with Heightstown, Neptune, Freehold Township. So has one of the emphasis, and I imagine it has been kind of what you're talking to me about, maybe some of the things you got away with those first 3 weeks, you can't now because a team like Raritan can expose that. So is it just been about, obviously continue to do the things you're doing well, but refining some of those things that people might not see when you see 34 and 35 nothing.
I understand that's something the media might look at, but we focus on the task at hand. We focus on rep, being where your feet are and understanding each rep is the most valuable one. It really doesn't change. Our focus and our preparation isn't going to change from our mini camp in June to our camp in August. All of us as staff, we sit down, we focus, we watch film. And going forward, Heightstown, we put in just as much preparation, the scouting, as we did for Raritan. So we tell our kids, just like anything else, this is another Friday night, this is another game. Absolutely, but we control what's in front of us and what we do. We cannot control how Raritan plays us. We can only control the play and where our feet are.
Anthony, excited for that? Like you said, number 10 team in the Shore, going on the road, a real opportunity for you guys to make another statement.
Real excited to play a competitive team, and I want get our name out to show that we are a great team, and I really think we could prove ourselves this year.
Anthony, there was a little question mark about quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Garcia has stepped up, only a junior, and, as in a lot of different cases, the quarterback usually is that leader of that offense. Tell us a little bit about J.J.
J.J., oh, my God, great kid. Loved it, honestly. Runs the offense very, very well. Without him, honestly, I don't think we would have a great offense. He leads the offense very well. He could sling it. He could run, mobile. I don't think there's really anything.
Nothing more you can ask.
Yeah.
Nothing more you can ask,
for
right?
him. Yeah.
The group we have to bring up, we talked about Chase Gumbrecht, 691 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, another touchdown through the air last week. You're not doing any of that without the people movers up front. So, Jared, I'll let you tell us about those guys in the trenches, because obviously those guys have been the unsung heroes so far. When you're churning out that many yards on the ground, I think over 300 in 2, if not all 3 games, definitely 2 of the 3.
Right. Those guys take pride in it. Throughout the summer they put in a lot of time with the steps and learning Coach Papalia's new offensive system. So you got to go from right to left. Start with senior Todd Dudley, who's one of our captains. He's been one of our guys that have anchored us, the past few years. Has really stepped into a leadership role. So we're excited that, the man he's becoming and what he's doing in our school district and what he's doing for our program, we can't speak more than highly about him. Peyton Dasty, right guard, senior, really took the weight room seriously, just bought into what we were trying to do as a program, and has really stepped up. As a junior, got some reps here and there, but has really bought in. Senior for the center spot, Sean Williams, just a phenomenal kid. He's an all-day Vokes kid at the police academy. Does the right thing, great grades. He's a yes sir, no sir kid, and has given us some of the best center play that we've seen in quite some time here. So we're really excited about him. A two-way player for us is Aaron Josa. Really gives us an edge on the offensive line. He plays nose guard and defensive end for us, and also kicked over the offense this year. So we're excited to see what he can do. He's an athletic kid. He's got good feet and good vision. And then left tackle, we started out with Nick Rue as a senior who was a returning starter, but he got banged up with some injuries. But we had some young guys, Bentavegna step up, and Cosmo Zaccaro, the guys that are just filling in and the next man up mentality. And they've been buying into what Coach is saying. And it's been fun to watch. It's a good group of kids. and it's a good group of, as a whole in the offense. So they're exciting to watch, and it's definitely they're stringing some drives together, keeping that defense fresh, and allowing our special teams to, really come along, especially with a kicker like Sean Hurley. That kid's got a huge leg on him, even bigger, charisma, I guess you could say. He's one of the people pleasers for the Pit, but another good kid. We couldn't be more excited for our program and where it's going.
Anthony, some of my favorite questions now. Okay, these are softball questions.
Oh, yeah.
You make a bad play on the field, right? Who's the guy you don't want to see coming to the sideline? Who's the coach you don't want to? You go to the opposite side.
I'd say the man right there.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Got answered to the head man, right?
Yeah, always.
Okay, my next question. Central pasta parties on Thursday?
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday, pasta parties. Who's the guy that eats the most?
Oh, yeah, it's either Todd Dudley or Peyton Dassey. It has to be. The Bushwhackers.
Either of them here?
That is the best nickname.
Is
That's great.
Is the Bushwhacker here?
We have one of them right there.
One of them there. It's the head bushwhacker.
I love it. Who gave him that nickname?
Coach Papalier
I
did a
thought I had a
throwback.
sneaking suspicion.
He's a big wrestling guy. So he kind of bounces some names out, and with the younger generation, they're kind of looking around like what?
who's
And I
that?
just started losing it. So that nickname kind of stuck. We had to throw up some YouTube clips, and they loved it.
That is
so
outstanding.
it's kind of sticking at this point.
Jared, you mentioned the word culture before, and I want to ask you because that means different things to different coaches, different people,
Right.
different programs. When you talk about establishing a culture at Central, what is that for you and your staff?
Right. That's a buzzword that gets thrown out an awful lot. It's something where, it was our vision as a staff and my staff, especially being a coach coming up. And I love these kids. So I think that's first and foremost that we love these kids hard and we coach them harder. Anthony, he's gonna hear an earful from me, but he knows I'm gonna be hugging him after the game, telling him I love him. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we emphasize here is these kids know that our coaches care about them. When they come through the weight room, we're going to be on you. No one's sitting down. No one's on your cell phones. And that's a hard thing to do now with the kids. They always want to have their cell phones. And, with our younger staff, we get it. We know the cell phone's a part of it. But when we're here, we're going to go to work. And the last thing is probably being respectful, whether it's in the school building. I want you holding doors, 7-Eleven, because it's always Johnny, the football player, right, wrong, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. So we want to hear those positive referrals. And that's something that we've been getting feedback from, our administration and our teachers. So, that's something that I'm most proud of. And having these kids grow into the leaders that, the Anthony Mussos, the Danny Morrises, that they're cowbells. When these kids move, the rest of the herd moves. And it's got to be a positive way. Those pointing fingers and doing all the things that are indifferent, that's not what we're about. That's not what we stand for. We're going to win with class. We're going to do the things the right way all the time, not when it's just convenient for them.
Coach, I mentioned it before you got back on. How do you feel about the pod system this year?
I'm going to give you the old generic coach kind of mantra. We'll play whoever. I'm okay with it. It is what it is at this point. We want to take care of the opponent the week of, and we're focused on Raritan, as I'm sure they are on us. So we're not really focused too much on the pods. One of our goals is that, the kids hear us say we want to play, in December. We want to play in November around the holidays. That's our main focus. So taking care of the game at hand and then moving on to the next one, checking them off, and, hopefully that abides us to, state playoffs because that's our focus.
That's one of the good things they actually did. They counted those
Correct.
pod games
Yeah.
towards the state tournament.
Absolutely.
Those should, we don't know who's going to play who, but
Right.
the way the matchup should be, it should be good PowerPoint opportunities,
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
nothing else, for teams. So
Absolutely.
we've talked about, almost everybody so far. The one guy I haven't talked about is this guy right here. I mean,
Right.
3-year starter for you. Obviously, he's meant a lot to the foundation and what you guys have done so far. So tell us what Anthony does, both on the field and what he means to the program.
Right. Anthony had a strict rule, no talking about himself, so that's why he was like that. But what a phenomenal kid, man, and just a throwback. You mentioned me playing linebacker and doing the defensive whole thing. I loved to watch Anthony play. I knew I was going to love him as soon as I saw him as a freshman down at the freshman team, kind of lighting it up. Just a kid that you love to be around. As a sophomore, just putting his head in there. You don't get too many of these fullback, linebacker guys that love hitting. Anthony loves to hit. He loves to lead. And the competition, the competitor that he's become, and most importantly, the man that he's become. I couldn't be more proud of him. And this kid, is a 3-sport athlete. I would love to have him in the weight room for 8 months, but Anthony goes directly from football, like bashing heads, right to basketball, and then then he plays on the baseball diamond. And both of those programs are starting to, they turned a leaf there. They've been very successful. Coach Clemente's, been doing a great job, and then right over to Coach Frulio in the baseball. So Anthony's a winner, and these guys, that senior class, is a close group of kids. Anthony's one of the ringleaders in that, and we're bringing that winning mentality to the fall, which is exactly what we wanted. Like I said, he's tough on himself, especially talking about last year. But this is what these kids wanted. Yeah, it was a tough crowd because we expect to win. That's how we coach them. That's how we train them. And I think we're doing a great job of that. But most importantly, these kids are doing a great job of that.
Anthony, Coach said three-sport athlete yourself. Do you know what your plans for college? Do you want to play a sport in college? Do you know what sport you want to play? Have you thought about that at all as a senior?
Yeah, I really thought about playing football. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really love playing football and baseball as well because I can throw the ball pretty hard. Yeah, what can I say?
Well, we know your exploits on the time. In this day and age, I think we're getting back to the 3-sport athlete. Maybe I'm wrong on that. You'd see that more.
Yeah.
For a while, I think we went away for it. Why do you play 3 sports? Obviously, you like them, but why have you stuck with 3 sports? Because I think a lot of kids maybe don't do that, and then maybe they turn around and regret that they gave up 1 or 2 of them.
I feel like I've always played 3 sports because I always want to be in shape and always doing something. I feel like not doing something is just gonna bring you down, and playing these 3 sports motivates me to do my schoolwork, keeps my grades up, and that's about it.
You notice that too?
Yeah,
multiple sports,
just to bounce off Moose there. A lot of our kids, especially at Central, our best athletes need to play, the sports. So you'll see a lot of our football players that are playing either, they'll go right from football to wrestling to winter track. A lot of our guys are multiples. It's rare to have guys that just play football. We actually emphasize making sure that you get out to a sport. We want you to win in different ways. How you win on the wrestling mat is going to differentiate how you're going to win on, the baseball diamond. It's different strategies. For these kids, we always want them to think outside the box. Anthony Musso on 4th and 1 is going to think a little bit differently than the guy who just focuses on football. How can he use his body? How can he use his hands? And that's the big thing that we take pride in, making sure our athletes are taken care of. Coach Plummer, Coach Hardy, those guys were at track. A lot of our coaches are in different areas, and those gym teachers are in the building every day, and they're coaching different sports. So they want our best out, and we're all working together to try to make Central a great place and understand what it can be. The potential is there, and we think we're turning the leaf here.
Well, you guys are certainly doing great things so far, and I know you'll say to them every day the work is not done, and at 3-0. Certainly not. I know you guys have bigger goals ahead of you. Can't thank you enough for coming down. You guys both great representation of your school, your program, your community. And like you said, look at the crowd turning out to see the Golden Eagles tonight. So always great to see Jared Pigeon, Anthony Musso. Guys, thanks again, and good luck. Friday night at Raritan should be a good one.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
That's Jared Pigeon and Anthony Musso of Central Regional. So we thank those guys for coming down. We'll take a quick break, and me and Ed will come back. We'll preview Week 4 and what to look out for. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner here on the Shore Sports Network.
One, two, three,
back here at the Office Restaurant and Lounge in Tom's River. Really a great segment
Great
there.
segment. Great
with our
segment.
guys from Central, Jared Pigeon, Anthony Musso. And those guys, as we said, will be up at the launch pad visiting number 10 Raritan on Friday night. That should be a good one there. So we'll get to week 4. As you mentioned, you and Steve Areno over here will be at Feeney Field in West Long Branch, weather permitting. We're crossing our fingers it won't be a torrential downpour, but that will be our Butcher's Block game day countdown, game of the week, a Patriot Division showdown between 3-0 Barnegat and 2-1 Shore Regional. So we are partnering with the Butcher's Block end table up in Long Branch. It's owned by Tommy D'Ambrisi, former Monmouth Regionals and Kane University standout, great supporter of Shore Conference football. So what we'll do is Ed will be there. We'll have a little pregame, talk about the game. During the game, Ed will jump on with some highlights. Halftime, we'll have our Block Game Day MVP at the end. We'll pick. But most importantly, if you're going, look out for the Shore Sports Network SUV and sign up to win dinner for 6 with limousine transportation to the Butcher's Block in Long Branch. They'll be opening soon after a renovation. The place is going to look absolutely gorgeous. Liquor license now, so the full bar setup and everything. Very highly anticipated reopening for the Butcher's Block. So that should be great once those guys are open. It's a phenomenal place. If you get a chance, really try and get up there because it will be a fantastic night out. Great for special occasions or if you just want to go down there too. But reservations not easy to come by until they open. Remember, the Butcher Shop is still open, so you can check them out. Go onto their website, theblocknj.com, for more information. Ed, so
I was just going to say, by the way, I picked up my limo license. So I
gonna
will be
get-
driving that limo to the Butcher Block.
Ed's going to we're
for
only
those
kidding.
6.
Ed's not driving the limo.
No, I'm not
Look,
driving.
Ed,
You want to get there
Ed may
safely.
get it. Well, Kevin's watching now. Kevin will not let him drive that limo. We need to mention Kevin Williams still on the mend. Kevin hoping to join us sooner or later, but we hope he's at home resting up. Are the Mets on tonight? If they are,
The
I
Mets
hope
are
he's
on.
not
The
watching.
Mets are in Boston.
I hope he's not watching the Mets for his own.
Yankees are on, and Toronto lost today. So right now they're currently tied.
We've already talked too much
So
baseball.
if the Yankees get a W tonight, they take over that second wild card.
We're on to Cincinnati. So week 4, here we go. We mentioned the game that I'm leaning towards cover. I still haven't decided firmly, but game I'm leaning towards covering on Friday night, that is Central at Raritan. As you mentioned, we'll go down the top 10 quickly. Number 1, Rumson hosting Lacey, a 2-0 Lacey team. So a pair of 2-0 teams, Borden Stadium.
It's going to be interesting.
Yes.
It has the makings of being an interesting game because Lacey likes to keep the football away from their opponents.
Yes.
With the ground game, okay? They're not going to throw it unless they absolutely have to. So if they can keep it away from Rumson, they'll hang in the game. If not, Rumson will
Yes. They'll do what they've been doing, which is
do what they've been doing.
not
that's shutting out people.
not allow points. Number 2, Red Bank Catholic. On Saturday, they will visit Vic Cabrew Warrior Field in Manasquan to take on the 8th-ranked Warriors. RBC, obviously the big favorite in that division. We'll see if Manasquan can throw a wrench into those plans. Big one on Saturday. Number 3, Donovan Catholic at number 5, Colts Neck. A huge American Division game. Donovan's got to win that game if they want to keep pace at top. Colts Neck still undefeated, so a win there would certainly keep them pace with Rumson as of now, unbeaten in that division.
2 undefeated teams,
Yes.
Middletown South at Manalapan. Both teams undefeated. Do the Eagles have a little letdown after the obviously very big game, the 200th win of Steve Antonucci? I don't think Steve is going to let them come down, but they do have to travel to Manalapan.
Yeah, Manalapan is a team, we didn't mention them from week 3, 31-20 win over Homedale. That was a back-and-forth game. Homedale's Jaden Gallo. We have to mention him. He was an all-shore, second-team all-shore running back last year, preseason all-shore running back, and he's been great so far. He had 3 extremely long touchdowns and really kept Homedale in that game, but he scored a touchdown, put Homedale up, I believe, 20-17, and then Alex Dilly of Manalapan came back. The ball went one of those, oh, yes, ball's bouncing around. He picks up the 1-yard line, goes 99 yards for a touchdown, and Manalapan went on to win that game. And now a tough one at home against Middletown South, an old little A North, old American Division rivalry. Those two teams and programs know each other very well. So we'll see if Manalapan's offense can crack that defense of Middletown South, because the Eagles have been exceptional.
Freehold started the year 2-0. Tough loss last week. Kind of a disappointing loss probably for Dave Ellis. Looks to come back against the Raiders of East.
Yes, and Tom's of East, really the definition of a roller coaster so far. Your shutout loss, 41-0 to Southern to start the season. They come back with a win over Tom's of South, big rivalry game, and then 43-0 loss to St. John Vianney. So Raiders, we'll see what they can do against the Freehold team. Tough matchup, because the Colonials are going to be raring to go.
Yes.
Get back after only scoring 2 touchdowns. The team I want to talk about is Wall. 0-2, our number 1 team coming in, the reigning number 1 team in the state. 0-2, coming off a bye, hoping to get some of their injured players back, including reigning state and shore conference defensive player of the year, Charlie Sasso. They will not call it a moral victory, what happened in week 2, a close loss to Red Bank Catholic, nor should they, and I won't call it that either, but you saw a much different product than that 35-0 loss to Rumson. Now they come back off the bye against an 0-2 Toms River North team. What do you expect to see from the Crimson Knights at home on Friday night?
Well, they better win this one.
Yeah, it is must win.
I mean, their season is on the line right here. They can't come out of that one 0-3. I look for them to make a big effort there and possibly win that one. They still have aspirations, Bob. We talked about these pods, and they won't tell you, but we could talk about them, and they still have aspirations of getting into that top pod. Just with their resume from the past years, and of course defending champion last year in a tremendous game against Donovan Catholic. So, they're still saying, hey, don't forget us. If we finish 4-2, we need a shot at that.
Yes, a massive game for Wall. Like you just said, so much riding on that. Game on Friday night I want to mention, you'll have Keyport making the long drive.
About as far as you can go.
It might be miles wide.
Oh, yeah, Keyport to Pinelands.
Mattawan or St. John Vianney might be a touch farther. Or Manalapan could be too. It's a little west, but we're not playing MapQuest here. It's a far drive.
Yeah.
Either way, slice it, going all the way down to Little Lake Harbor to face the Wildcats of Pinelands. Keyport, as we mentioned, the Red Raiders are the Air Raiders so far. They're putting up points in bunches, but I want to talk about the Wildcats coming off an 18-6 victory over Lakewood to move to 1-1. But Pinelands, they will be inducting some members into their Athletic Hall of Fame on Friday night, led by the late great Bill Bruno, who was a coach there for a while, football-wise, and then longtime track and field coach there. One of the legends in the Shore Conference for a lot of reasons, was a great friend. The Shore Sports Network, of course, we were very saddened of his passing recently. So that should be a great night there. Also, Bill Savage, former Pinelands coach, and Vemba Bukala, former standout running back, went on to play for Hofstra, and full disclosures in my fantasy football league. So congratulations, Vemba, on the honor. So, but I know Bill Bruno, a guy you knew very well, and also Bill Savage.
Of course, the ex-athletic director at Brick Memorial.
Yes.
My son took over for Bill and Bill was his mentor and did a tremendous job with that, teaching my son the ropes as far as the athletic director is concerned. I'm wondering if Bill Savage is going to make the way up from Florida.
That's a good question.
He lives down there in Florida, big Yankee fan. Come on up, Bill. It'll be nice to see you.
He's come up for lesser things like during the wrestling season.
Exactly.
So it's always good to see Bill around.
The other game that's intriguing is Can they save their season? Are they 0-3 or 0-2?
They are 0-3.
They're 0-3.
So Jackson 0-3. They were 0-2 with 2 one-point losses.
Right.
So you looked at them going into the Middletown South game and said, yeah, this team could easily be
have a
2-0. Well, they got shut out 27-0. A tough matchup against an excellent Middletown South defense. And really hurting on the defensive side without their best defensive player, Eric Ibe, a standout defensive lineman, tied for the short conference lead in sacks. He was on the sideline in street clothes. Didn't get the official word. I'm assuming it's an injury on him. The Middletown South coaches knew that he was banged up and missing. They're missing a couple linemen. And it doesn't get it easier. You turn around and now you play the number 9 team in the Shore, Long Branch, who's coming off a great win. And you have to travel to Long Branch for that one. So a tough one for the Jags. But at this point, 0-3, again, a must-win game if you want to extend your season beyond just these regular season.
I'll
pod
mention
games.
the inter-town rivalry on Saturday at 12 p.m. Brick will travel to Brick Memorial, 2-1 Brick versus 1-1 Brick Memorial. The winner of that one will step up to have a better season. So neither can afford a loss there. Always a big-time rivalry. I will attend that game, by the way, Bob.
Should be a
On
good one.
Saturday.
Should be a competitive one. I want to get a correction out there first, talking about Jared Pigeon. I said he played football at Central. He played football at Southern Regional. Don't mix that up. Coaches at
Yes.
Central played football at Southern Regional, where he was a standout linebacker.
Yes.
So one correction there from to get before we
He didn't correct
before
you.
we get out.
Boy, he was
he's
good,
just being
wasn't
polite.
he? He was good.
It's fantastic.
I mean, tremendous speaker. And
They have a great person running their program. You can see he has a clear vision of how he wants the program to run, defined roles for everybody. His expectations of his players are crystal clear. And look, that's a big reason for success. The structure, the culture, as he said, and what that means to their specific program. Again, that's a major reason why they're 3-0.
And we were introduced to the Bushwhacker tonight.
That's
Bushwhacker.
phenomenal. The Bushwhackers.
Bushwhackers
You can't have
sitting
one
in the
bush-
back there. They're
can't-
still eating. They're
can't have-
still eating back there.
Why not? You can't have one bushwhacker without the other. So, again, this is going to be an exciting week in terms of when you look at the schedule. There isn't these giant. There is a couple, I should say that.
Yeah.
We do have number 3 versus number 5, a couple top 10 matchups, but there's a lot of games that will be played on Friday night and Saturday afternoon that we may not know the importance of for a couple weeks
Right.
because these divisions are so competitive. And we might look back and say, wow, that was an important game. Look what happened that week. So a lot of conclusions to be drawn, and we'll be doing that coming up. I know you'll be at the Shore Regional Barnegat game. Talked about Brick Memorial. Any other matchup that we haven't talked about you're excited for?
Nah, I mean, I'm excited for every game. I like to see teams win games. I hate to see when, like Jackson, you said 2 1-point losses. That, it just kills you as a coach. I do want to mention John Scran is here, the athletic director at Central. Came down to support his troops down here, and he should be very proud because I'm sure he had a lot to do with the hiring of Jarrett Pigeon.
Certainly.
Because he certainly represents the Golden Eagle program very well.
Looks like that'll about do it for us from here. We want to thank the staff at the Office Restaurant and Lounge for their hospitality again. And we want to thank the whole Central Regional community. Great job coming out and supporting the Golden Eagles. They've been great on Friday night, and they were great here on a Wednesday night in Toms River. So we'll see you again next week. We'll be back at River Rock Marina Bar and Restaurant in Brick for what will be week 5 of the Coach's Corner.
It's flying by.
It feels weird saying that every week, but that is where we will be. I'm sure we'll have plenty more to talk about and some great guests as well. For Ed Sarluca and Steve Meyer and Tom Tremblay, doing a great job as always behind the scenes. I'm Bob Batters. We thank you once again for joining us on the Varsity Link Coach's Corner, and we'll see you next week.